Midpoint of a line segment in the plane. Find the midpoint M of the line segment joining the points S, which is at 5, -2, and T, which is at -3, 6. So they give us this nice little graph. We know S is at 5, -2, and we know T is at -3, 6. Okay, and I'm supposed to find the midpoint of this line. Okay, now I could get out a ruler and try to find the exact middle, or I could try to eyeball it. It's going to be somewhere around there, probably. But I need to find the exact ordered pair of the midpoint. Now, if you know the formula, you can just plug in and use the formula. But before I do the formula, I'm going to talk about why it makes sense. Okay? So if I'm looking at this slanted line segment, and I want to find the middle piece, it's a little bit tricky. But we just have to think about the x values and the y values separately. So let's think about the midpoint is going to be some ordered pair with an x and a y part, because that'll tell me where that midpoint is, all right? So what I want to do is I want to think about here and here. The line segment goes from here to here on my x-axis. So ultimately, I want to find the midpoint of this line. Okay, so this one goes from -3 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that. Okay, so I want to find the midpoint of -3 and 5 going this way, because we go from -3 to 5. So I got to find the middle of this. Now the same thing as finding the middle is finding the average of these two numbers. So I'm just going to do the average. So I'm going to do 5 plus a -3 and divide it by 2, because I'm adding my numbers and dividing by how many numbers I added to get the average. 5 plus a -3 is just 2. 2 divided by 2 is just 1. So right here is the midpoint between -3 and 5. Okay, but that's only half of it. That's only the x value. That's the halfway point in the x values. Okay, so I also have to find the halfway point in my y values, which go from here to here. Okay, so I'm going from a 6 to a -2. So it's going to be like that. I need to find the midpoint going in my y direction. Okay, so again, I just need to find the average to find the middle of 6 and -2. So I'm going to do 6 plus a -2 and then divide by 2, because I just added two numbers on the top. So 6 plus -2 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. So right here, I can see that this point at 2 is halfway between 6 and -2. So when we put those together, that gives us this midpoint of 1, 2. So this would be my midpoint for that. Now, if you don't want to think about averages, you can just use the formula, which is this. You take your x's and average them, and you take your y's and you average them. And that's it.